Welcome to MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next. If you're not too careful, you just might learn something.
Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next, and if you're not too careful, you just might learn something. So today it was the day that we hoped to try out our Wetblaster, and frankly it ended up being a fail on a couple of counts, and I'll go over it with you and go over with you what our version 2.0 idea is. So for starters, my barrel idea didn't work because the pressure washer does not like working with the gravity feed. It needs water under pressure. Going into it. Now, yeah, I know I could do some kind of transfer pump thing or whatever, but you know, really the only reason I had this here was because of the way my farm spigot is out there, and it's a self-draining one, so it throws a lot of air through, you know, and screw that. We'll just bleed all the air out before I hook it up and go from there. More importantly, my little sifter thingy here can be improved upon, because when this thing starts moving in and out with 50 pounds of media in here, it just sits there and just rocks this thing back and forth like this. And we've got a better idea for that, and one that will also allow us to have an agitator in the bin to keep the media, you know, kind of fluffed up so that vacuum tube will suck it through the line. And I'll show you more as we get along how we're doing that. And we're going to suspend this part on springs and then use a orbital sander, okay, which has a much shorter stroke and will make this thing vibrate, which will achieve the same end and sift the sand through, and without a constant back and forth like this, which is just making this thing look stupid. So that's our plan. So stay tuned. Today I've made it as far as remounting the media bin and getting it to where it needs to be, and it's tipped up this way, so in theory all the sand should go to this corner. And one thing I noticed when I tried rudimentary testing on this was it was very reminiscent of the old bucket sandblasters, the air ones, you know, where you filled up the little rolly bin full of your blasting sand, and then as you're sandblasting, you got to sit there and keep shaking the sand to get it to where, you know, it gets to the pickup and all that. Well, hopefully we won't have that problem with this now, because I'll have the bin all, you know, of course it was tipped up and over before, but that still wasn't sufficient. So now what we've got is basically a kind of like a drywall mud mixing attachment here, and just have it on the end of a drill. And what that'll do is, it's got a little corkscrew on it, and what it'll do is it'll keep tumbling the sand down in there and keep it all loose, so the pickup here doesn't just suck the sand out and leave a hole. So now in theory, if your media is dry, you shouldn't have that problem, but you know, I've had that problem. So this way we're going to fix that with that. And of course, if somebody walks by and spills their Coke in your bin here with all your media, then of course we can just flip this thing back, take it out, and dump it, and then of course it can go back in. And the pickup, of course, is right here, and it has an air tube so that as the main part is creating a suction here, this is sucking air down through the top. Hopefully, I think trying to accomplish the same thing as what this drill's doing, but it's not enough. So anyway, that's that I think will take care of the inconsistent feeding on this, to where as long as this thing's pulling a suction, it should have some nice loose sand to go through it. So well, alrighty, after many hours, many cuss words, and many retries, I think I finally got something together here that's going to work. So I give you the RedNeck Wetblaster version 2.0. So basically what we had to do, I had to improve how I did the sifting, and I also had to improve how the sand gets sucked through the line there up to the part right here for the blaster. So I'm gonna take you around and show you what all the changes we made and how it works now, and then we'll fire it up. Okay, I'll apologize in advance if I'm a little shaky with the camera. This new camera's kind of heavy. So the original problem we had with the sifter was I was trying to rock the bin back and forth, and I was using like a jigsaw, and the bin was on wheels on a little track down in here, and unfortunately that ended up not working, because once you put the weight of the sand in there, it obviously gets heavy, and it was a bit hard on that little cheap jigsaw. So what I came up with after much cogitation is I mounted the bin, okay, with springs. So if you kind of look down in there, you'll see one of the springs right there, and this whole bin is suspended on springs. And there's your sifting screen. Then what we do, we really just want this thing to vibrate. So what I did, and this is what took so long, was finding a way to mount a orbital pad sander securely to just the bin, and it can move around and do whatever. And of course it's obviously going to sink down as you put weight in it, which is fine. And this thing here basically just makes this bin vibrate really, really aggressively, and pretty much will sift the sand about as quick as I can pour it in. So that's really, really good. And of course I wired up all my electrics here, and let's see, let me get around the other side here. As the sand comes out of the bottom of the screen, then I made a little chute out of some leftover trim coil from our house project, and it just runs right down into the bin. And then once the bin is full of sand and we're actually running the wet blaster, then we'll run this, and what that does is that agitates the sand and keeps plenty of sand, right by that pickup. So you don't have you're not having to constantly shake the bag or shake the bin or whatever to get your sand over to the pickup tube. And basically, of course, then it comes up, goes through the hose, and then comes to the little wet blaster bit there that's plugged into the end of my regular pressure washer. And it's just a, you know, Ryobi 3100 psi, 2.5 gallon per minute. Now I know folks have said that you need like 4.5 gallons per minute, but this is what I had, so thought as a proof of concept we would try it and see just how well it does. And actually does remarkably well. So let's do a test run, shall we? Alright, so this thing's gonna make a bit of racket, but that's okay, it's all part of how it works. So I'm gonna fire it up, sift my bag of sand, and then we'll blast some paint off the back of this truck cab over here. Of course, you can kind of see already where I pre-tested, but we'll get to actually see it in action here. So Whew. Well, that was fun. I purposely did a long cut there to show that, you know, you don't have to sit there and go back and shake the bin and, you know, and it doesn't skip or blob or whatever. It just works. So, you know, I'm just really tickled with it. Came out good. That's why they call me MacGyver. Alright, now once you're done blasting, you're going to want to dry it off because it will flash rust. Now, there's a couple different ways you can go about doing this. You can use like a lawn sprayer and fill it with the rust inhibitor, or you can dry it off with one of these and then, you know, instantly prime it, shoot some primer on it before it starts to flash rust on you. So what I'm going to do is I just use one of these, just a Wally World special electric leaf blower, and the battery powered ones, yeah, they won't last long enough. Nice and dry. Let's get a good close-up look. You can see all the sand. The cool thing about it is that I don't have sand in places where there shouldn't be sand. That's the good part of using a wet blaster. Let me get up close there and see how it took it right on down to bare metal there. It doesn't have any problem with corners or contours or anything like that. It got right on in there. So yeah, I'm happy with it. At least for, you know, we're going to be using this to wet blast that truck frame. So I'm happy with it. I think it'll work out just nice. All right. Well, I'm happy with the way that thing turned out. Actually works a treat. So appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and click the little bell icon there if you want to see when we post a video again. And you can always leave your comments. We welcome them all. And you can email me at MacGyversWorkshop@gmail.com. So again, thank you for watching. Stay safe, wash your hands, and don't be stupid and buy all the damn toilet paper. See ya.